Everyone. Miss my age.
I'm good. How are you?
Since we didn't have an engineering meeting, of course, I'm getting all the sign, is it correct?
I have. I left 7 minutes there from budget and finance this time. Can you attend?
I don't
I left them on your seat somewhere there.
probably have a set of minutes I'm supposed to sign.
Well, they're right. I had them right here. There they are. How you doing, Joe?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm sorry about your voice.
Thank you. Yeah, it was my favorite donkey.
Trying to steal the minutes, Dawn.
You know, shouldn't you follow up? You would have walked off. What's the problem?
I know, so hard.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Yep.
Tom said he's on there. You see him? Said to let him in.
Is Tom at a LAFCO meeting today?
No. No, Tom
That was
is,
yesterday,
that was yesterday.
or I thought it was the 10th. What's today?
Today's the 11th. We won.
I won the wrong test.
Oh, look what Tom won.
Are you good? When that happened today, Tom?
Yeah, I just took him a little bit ago.
We won.
So sorry, everybody.
Tom has COVID.
3.5 years I've been managing to dodge it, but
Fabulous.
I felt crappy this morning. 'Cause I figured I would because I had a hangover, but it was a little more than a hangover.
I figured you would too.
It looks like I'll be locked up for a little while.
All right.
I'm gonna miss a wedding on the weekend too.
Oh, no. We can turn it up a little.
Great. Yeah. My hearing aids in, so it's not like they shouldn't be.
Robert. Bad, Robert. Bad. Troublemaker.
Like you and me. Leave us alone.
One time I tried to start one of our committee meetings a minute or two early and I was admonished.
Is this microphone on?
Former board member.
Your microphone on?
Microphone.
No, because I'm not running the
What
meeting.
Tom was trying to hear.
1:00.
That's 1:01. Oh, my computer's.
But yes, I was admonished for not waiting until the hour. Okay, it's 1:00 and we'll call this meeting to order. And the first item here is the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you don't mind. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, here we go. Okay. Roll call. Clint Nelson here. Bill Stewart, Vice Chair. Okay. Peter Hensley.
Here.
Patty Townsend Smith.
Here.
Alternate Chad Williams.
Here.
Beautiful. Do we have any people? Yeah, we do. I have to read this aloud. Okay. What?
We do not have any members of the public online.
Great. Then I was advised by our fearless leader, Tom, that I do not need to read all this. So there we go. Item 5, seating of alternatives. Chad, please stay, but we have a full house. So that's great. Wonderful.
Sounds good.
Item 6, additions, deletions, amendments to the agenda. As always, we will start with staff. Do you have any changes to the agenda, Tracy? Anything?
No changes.
Anything, anybody? Okay, how about committee members? Anyone have any additions or deletions? Okay. Public comment on items not on the agenda, no public, no comment.
No written comments either.
Thank you very much. Item 8, approval of minutes. All of you received minutes in your packets, your email packets. So are there any suggested changes or deletions to the minutes, additions, comments? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
Approval.
Okay, Bill moves and Pete seconds, approval of the minutes. We are all here, so we can do this by acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Minutes are unanimously approved. Yahoo. We are streaming at the speed of light here. Okay. Even though he has not graced us with his presence, Tom is here for item 9, general manager comments. Tom, take it away.
Yeah, well, since I have COVID, being there is not the right way to go. So
He has COVID.
I just tested positive for COVID and I made it through yesterday, but
C'est impossible.
I don't know. 3.5 years I've dodged it, but it's here now. So it is what it is. So I'll have more comments to make on the detachment update later. But for this one, I think one of the things that's coming up is the Water Authority is holding a board meeting on Thursday to discuss 2 items. One is preparing to sue LAFCO. So that's one they'll put me out for. And then the other one is a number of years ago, several of us on the board, along with the City of San Diego Mayor's Office, asked the Water Authority to do an analysis of their water purchase agreements with the site of looking at, if our demands continue to decline, can they market those some other way so we don't run into take or pay problems. The Water Authority, if you go on there, I was another board member told me they felt they were being gaslighted in the staff report, which basically tells the board that you guys are crazy. We don't need to look at this, but we did it because you made us. And here's the report. Well, actually, Patty's husband is one of the people who did the report. And the report essentially says nothing to worry about. We're good. But it continues the problem of forecasting increasing water sales into the future, which we've asked them to look at what happens if water sales don't increase. And right now they keep forecasting increasing water sales, but they keep going down. But we really asked for, what do you do if they go down? And there's no game plan at the Water Authority for the sales going down. And so that'll be the big point of discussion on Wednesday, because it's financially is going to be very problematic for the Water Authority. It may not be our problem because we're going to be out, but for everybody else who's remaining, they should be very focused on managing their demands. With Pure Water comes on, if you're paying for water you don't get, water rates are going to get a lot worse in San Diego County. So that's my report.
Is that it, Tom? For now?
That's all from me.
Okay. Any comments or questions for Tom? It's a very interesting report. None. Okay. Thanks, Tom. Item 10, finance manager comments. Tracy?
Let's see, we're working on year end. Also, with your handouts today, you have the financial packet. There was a delay. Our our BIFSM financial reporting module went down for about a week. Just this past week while we were doing the financials. Ahmed contacted the company and realized that we hadn't been doing updates that were required for a couple of years. We didn't know that it was on our end to do them because they're in the cloud. So we got that all updated. So our reporting came back up yesterday morning, and I just want to apologize for those being late. And that's it.
Okay. Item 11, committee member comments. We'll just go around the horn. Patty, got anything?
No.
Pete?
Nope.
Bill?
One of the interesting things that came out of the LAFCO hearing yesterday was that as they got down to a resolution, a motion to approve the Plan B, which is, our exit with $66 million dollars in value exit fee. There was an amendment suggested by one of the commissioners that they attached to that motion a resolution to put forward or start forward a service study on the Water Authority. That was getting full support until counsel for the Water Authority said, well, shouldn't you, or for the
LAFCO,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, or LAFCO, said, yeah, we should probably take this up as a separate item. And since it's an issue unto itself, we'll put it over to our next meeting. I believe that was the statement, wasn't it, Tom?
Yes.
I thought that was, a penetrating thought. We complain sometimes about the activities of the Water Authority, but apparently through the process of going through this horrendous 4 years of review, the LAFCO has come up with some serious concerns about the management of the Water Authority. And I think that we may see that service study required. And if it's done, it will be done by LAFCO. Is that correct, Tom?
Yes.
So I was very surprised that it came up at that point, but not surprised that there seemed to be commission support for it. So I was going to comment on that only.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, item 12, wastewater loan update. Let me just ask Tracy, this does not. Is this an information item or is this something that you are seeking the committee's?
I would like the
Thumbprint
committee
on
to-
it.
to yay or nay and
Okay.
Proofread the board action for me.
Okay,
So what this is the official board action based on the RFP we put out for financing for finishing up the Thoroughbred lift station. When we did the cost of service study, we identified that the wastewater reserve funds were going to be pretty low by the end of this project, and we wanted to be sure that we could keep them up at the board approved minimum levels. So it's basically a gap financing. What we did was we did an RFP and I reached out to 10 different financial institutions to try to get them to give us proposals. Of the ones that we received back, the one with the lowest rate was First American / City National Bank. I hadn't dealt with them before, but they do leases for different utilities in our area. One of them is Lake Elsinore. They had both the lowest rate and one thing that's happened since our last financing was there was the banking crisis. So now when you get a loan of any substance, they require you to keep your deposits on hand at the bank. So this is also one that didn't require that because they don't have any stipulations on your financial relationships. So that would have been a problem for us. We would have had to switch from our current bank to another bank, which should be done with a separate RFP. We didn't want to have to attach it to this. So what I'm recommending is that you give Tom the authority to execute this loan at 5.49%, or I'm sorry, recommend to the board that he can execute that for $5 million for 10 years. Right now, we can lock in the rate without committing to the loan until the board approves it. So we would lock it in at 5.49, but it could still fluctuate a little bit based on the index fund. Do you have questions?
I do.
Yeah.
Do you have a horizon for paying this loan back short of the term?
So there's no prepayment penalties. It's a 10-year payback period. What we would do is look at it every year with the budget process, look at it when we set the rates for the year and determine if paying it off early is a good option.
I have one couple things. I'm going to start this by saying I am 99% sure that you have got all this covered, but I just want to ask to be sure, because I know how diligent you are with the detail. This is a collateralized loan, is that correct?
Right. So what we use for the collateral is a portion of the Thoroughbred lift station.
Okay, so we're using capital assets rather than money we have in securities or
Right,
cash
or
flow, or
deposits,
cash flow,
right,
right? Okay,
right.
revenue stream, right?
Right.
Okay. And is the note going to be, that's great. I like that. I
Okay.
like that. Is the note going to be written in such a way that it clearly says that the collateral value declines as we pay off the loan and that we only are obligated, kind of like a mortgage, we're only obligated for the remaining balance of the loan at the time?
Right. So if we want to pay it off early, they take the net present value of the loan and calculate that out. There's no, penalty for that.
Okay,
Um,
all right, great. Thank you.
And this will be the only wastewater financing that we have. We don't currently have anything that's under the wastewater.
Who would be your second choice?
My second choice would probably be Western Alliance, but the problem we have there is I tried to negotiate back and forth with them on not having the deposits on file there. So it sounded like they were going to make us do that, but that's one I could push more. They are the ones that gave us the wholesale water efficiency loan about a year and a half ago at a really good interest rate. But their rate also came in a little bit higher than this one. And I do like that First American has worked with some of our neighboring districts. They had good relationships
good.
there. That really resonated with me because it wasn't a company that I had a lot of experience with.
And Western Alliance, when you did the water efficiency program, they did not require the movement of
No, this is
deposit,
just a
right?
change since
Yeah. Yeah, as a result of the thing. Yeah,
the banking crisis.
great.
And, I'd like to look at an RFP once, things aren't quite so busy for our banking services, because it's good to go out and look at that every few years. But we just got bought out. Union Bank just got out by US Bank. So we had that big transition to go through. So right now is not the time for us to be changing banks.
Right.
We just did it about a month ago.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion.
I move we accept the proposal.
Thank you. Okay, so Pete has moved and Patty has seconded a motion that this committee recommend the board go forward with the staff's recommendation, which is option one. We are all here. So do we?
Is that item number 12?
It is item number 12.
Okay, great.
Okay, yes, it is.
We don't need a roll call vote.
Right.
You
Okay,
can just-
so,
Everybody can say aye.
okay, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it is unanimously carried. Okay, detachment update.
Well, nothing really happened this week. Yeah. Well, yesterday was the culmination of many years, as Bill said, 4 years and counting of work toward that objective. It wasn't as long a day. We were done, by lunchtime. And the commission voted 5-3 to approve our detachment with the exit fee, as Bill indicated. The Water Authority had pulled out all the stops in the last week with a big crazy news conference they held with props and everything, with the mayor and the last mayor and all the politicos out there. But I think that LAFCO saw through all that stuff. I mean, even in they're out there running around saying, oh, it's going to cost $200 million. But then their own finance guy goes up with the numbers. He says, yeah, it's $140 million, which was also wrong. But the commission just doesn't trust them to give them factual information. And so they stuck to it, the work that staff did and their consultants. And, we would have liked to have no exit fee, but politically, I don't know if that was going to happen. So the next phase we go into now is the way it works with LAFCO is there's a 30-day period where any party can request a reconsideration. And I do expect the Water Authority to try that, although there are some rules regarding reconsideration that you have to bring up some new topic or information that LAFCO hasn't already taken a look at. And this thing's been going on so long and been studied ad nauseum. There's not a lot of new out there. I mean, they'll probably try to make something up, but it'll be ridiculous. At that point, we're already starting the discussions on how to schedule the elections and how all that process, what the wording is going to be exactly on that. So that's something that our legal counsel will be working with LAFCO and the county council on. Exactly when the election will be held is TBD, but my guess is it'll be toward the end of this year or very early next year once they get, because it's going to take a while for the arguments over what does the ballot say. I'm sure the Water Authority will put forward some legal challenges to whatever the ballot says, if nothing else, just to be obstructive. The Water Authority will be meeting on Thursday to get approval to sue LAFCO, which we expect them to do on a couple of bases. They're one of the ones they keep talking about is CEQA, but the whole CEQA question they have is they're just wrong. I mean, LAFCO's counsel sent them a long email late last week saying, we don't know why you keep bringing this up. You're wrong. And you can keep bringing it up all you want, but it's not going to make you right. And so the CEQA process that we held is valid, that we did in late 2019. The Water Authority, if they wanted to challenge that, needed to do it back then. And OTI did, and it was baseless. So OTI lost that suit. So, but nonetheless, they'll probably sue on that. I think that it's regrettable, but it's the nature of the beast with the Water Authority. Although interestingly, last month during the Water Authority board meeting, they had it on the agenda to get authority to sue LAFCO, and they kicked Jack Beebe and I out. And then 20 minutes later, we all will meet over at the butcher shop for beer after the long Water Authority board meetings. 20 minutes later, other board members start showing up like, hey, what's going on? Apparently, enough other members of the Water Authority board also got up and left that they lost quorum and weren't able to take action to get approval to sue LAFCO, which they wanted to have in their back pocket. Maybe they would have already sued today. So who knows? Maybe other people will leave again, but I doubt it. I would hope they've got their ducks in a row that they can keep a quorum and get what they want done. So that'll be the regrettable step that they'll take. We'll likely try to file some sort of countermeasure of some sort if they delay our detachment for any kind of cost impacts we have. But I'm not sure what we can do there, but I want to, thank everybody on our committees and the staff that have worked on this thing tirelessly for 4 years, and the board staying resolved to see it through in the face of what was pretty tremendous political and financial pressure from the Water Authority and now the city of San Diego. So we did some celebrating last night, and then now we're getting back to work. That's it.
Great. Well, Tom, you spent a moment there thanking a variety of people and entities that endured the 4 years of slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. But I think you deserve a great deal of commendation as well, because you basically led this charge, and you were the one that had to deal with the day-to-day internecine warfare, and you did it, and you did it successfully. And I think that you get some big time kudos for that, Tom, at least certainly from me.
I appreciate that.
Quick
It's
question.
a lot of work.
It goes for me too, Tom. Fantastic job, and to stay with it for that long under that much pressure was absolutely remarkable. And the same set of kudos to Jack Beebe, who has hung in there with you through thick and thin.
Yeah, at first Jack was a little skeptical of it, but as the Water Authority's behavior became worse and worse, he just became more and more resolved. He says, at certain points, he's like, even if it doesn't save us any money, I want to get away from these people. But, our goal was to save money, which we will. The savings with the Water Authority's rate increases just keep getting bigger, right?
Quick question. Are the exit fees going to be a problem if sales are going down?
Yeah, well, I'll let Tracy answer that. She's done some calculations on what we expect with the Water Authority's rates and Eastern's rates for 2024 to see as a net.
So I
savings.
updated the calendar year 24 savings, and it's about $9.6 million. So our annual payment for 5 years is about 1.6 million. So there's a significant amount of savings still.
I think we're paying more than 1.6
Per year?
3.2, I think, is our payment per year. Because we're about 2/3, Fallbrook's 1/3. I think it's right around 3.2. I'd have to go pull the resolution.
Okay. So yeah, we were estimating about 7 million savings per year. And that's it's been around 6 or 7 for calendar year 22 and 23, but 24, now that we have new rates, based on low sales of around 12.5, our savings would be 9.6 million. So yeah, with the lower sales, it is still a significant savings.
And we're credited to 40 million approximately. It was 39 and something at the meeting yesterday, but I think that's underestimating it.
Yes.
That we had but both districts had previously contributed into projects that were supposed to benefit us that were never undertaken and the money not spent. And so that was a given to us as a credit. We don't get back the 900 million we put in the last 40 years.
Yeah.
To build their system.
Patty, you were going to say something? What were you going to say?
No. I'm just wondering where litigation. I mean, are we safe from that at this point? Are they thinking just to be suing LAFCO?
Yeah, the only action the Water Authority can take is to sue LAFCO. The action that our board took was in the December of 2019, and the time span to sue over that action expired in early 2020. And so there's nothing to sue Rainbow or Fallbrook over, but they could certainly sue LAFCO, and that's what they're angling to do. So it's regrettable, but that's the way the Water Authority rolls.
And is that going to tie everything up for a while? This
I would expect that they would try to have a judge put a stay on the proceedings until that's resolved. Obviously, we will resist that, but it's likely to delay things a bit. It's, I don't know, I can't speak exactly what they're gonna do, and they kicked me out of closed session when they're discussing it, so I don't know exactly what their plans are. But based on the letters they write, they will attack on CEQA. I think they're also gonna take an angle that LAFCO miscalculated the exit fee. And because they've said some strange rumblings about that, that hasn't been adjusted, based on, it was from a couple of years ago. And I hope they do that, because if they open up the question of exit fee in court, then we're going to make an argument. Yeah, they miscalculated. It should be zero.
Mhm.
I don't think that's an argument we're going to go start and go sue LAFCO over ourselves. But if they want to bring it up and we want to go to court, I guess this is some free information for you, Water Authority. Go for it. We're all over it, because we're going to go over there and tell the court that the exit fee should be zero based on the AVEC case, and that maybe you would get nothing out of this. That would be sweet.
Any other comments? Okay, let's move on to item number 14. Review of the monthly board finance report. Renee, are you?
So we ended the year, fiscal year 23 with just under 12,000 acre feet in sales, which is lower than the originally budgeted 13,500. Which is why we're continuing to be conservative in the years coming forward. I do want to know it is on the budget to actual, but I just want to reiterate that these budget to actuals are preliminary. They are non-audited numbers, and there's, as Tracy mentioned earlier, there's several year-end work journal entries to be done. So once we get the audited numbers, those will be more final. And then I did want to give kudos to customer service. On the last paragraph on the second page under monthly call volume, it says the average time in queue was 32 seconds. They have been short staffed the 2 months prior. And now with a full staff, they are answering calls very quickly. They were answering them quickly before for only having 2 people, but now being full staff, they're doing really well. So I just wanted to give them a shout out.
So as I look at attachment A, which I guess is the ultimate summary, right?
Yes.
I see that our change in net position is 3.4 million to the positive. Does that mean that we basically generated a surplus there?
So we have some expenses that'll be accrued back. And we do have a significant item that hasn't been billed to us yet for our wastewater processing fees from the city of Oceanside. That's about 1.5 million. They've just had a delay in billing.
Okay.
So
So
I'm not sure how our auditors are going to want us to handle that, if they're going to want us to accrue it back, which is difficult to do when you don't have the actual bill.
Mhm.
So I'm reaching out to them on that. And then depreciation will go in here. So this is, you can look at the 3.4 as kind of a cash basis, and then we have things
Right.
like depreciation that'll come out and some accruals. But this is a good way to see the cash, which I also present separately
Right.
after we're audited, so we know exactly where we're at with our cash reserves. But this gives us a peek at it. It's a little better than we expected for expenses, a little worse for revenues. So
Was that, may I ask a question on revenues and sales? As I recall, mid-year, we were right on, mid fiscal. And then all through the winter, as it rained and rained and rained and rained, it seemed like our sales dipped, of course, because we weren't selling as much ag water, that's for sure. So was that kind of a generalization of the way the trend looked? It wasn't so
yeah, I
much
think
that
weren't we a little bit low at mid-year too, Renee?
Yeah, yes. We were in line with fiscal year 22 purchases, at least. That's not sales, but it's a similar trend about December and then around. But yeah, we were always kind of low on sales though.
Yeah.
Purchase.
well, it started raining in November. So
Mhm.
I think that it,
And we bill November and December, so that's about right where we start showing.
yeah, so we were getting wet already. I just don't think that's going to be a dispositive of what we're going to see.
It's been a
going
very,
forward and if we don't get 30 inches of rain.
it's been a very cold summer too,
Yeah.
where the heat is just now starting the last couple weeks. So normally in May and June, we see an increase in sales from the winter and it didn't really go up that much this time. So
Yeah, so while our revenues were down, so were our purchased water expenses.
exactly.
So, you know,
Offset part.
Yeah.
Um. Would it be correct to say, I'm looking at page 2 of attachment A versus
Mhm.
page 4 of attachment A. The cost of running the joint net of water purchases is about 14 million. Is that right?
yes.
Okay. And help me reconcile that. What I see on page 2
Mhm.
is operating expenses, and I see a list of things, right?
Mhm.
Categories. On page 4, I see operating expenses and I see a different list of categories.
Mhm.
Do these, first of all, why do we use different categories? And secondly, of the categories on page 4, how do they crosswalk into the
Okay.
categories on page 2? I
Okay.
just get, because
Sure.
that shows
Sure.
8 and
Yeah,
as opposed to
page-
14.
Page 2 is water operating.
Yep.
And then page 3 is wastewater operating. So if you go on water
Oh.
operating and you see the line item that says general fund transfer for $6.64 million.
Yep.
That's 82% of the total of the general fund operating account. So our general fund is like administration, finance, IT.
Right.
So a portion of that is paid for by water, a portion is paid for by
By
wastewater.
wastewater.
And our general operating has gone down this year. Some of that's from administration. We have a little bit less consulting fees.
So Tracy, does that mean just, I'm thick. Does that mean that the information presented on the final page of attachment A, that information is only related to wastewater, or is that?
No, so that
That's-
last page where it says general operating.
Yep.
That is, that's our general operating fund. So we take everything we charge to that and we charge a percentage of that to water,
Right.
about 82%. And then the rest of it gets charged to wastewater.
And that's why the 6.6 million is
Yeah.
part of the 8, right?
Yeah, you can
Okay,
tie
I
that to
gotcha.
the top of the general operating page.
Yep.
It's seen as revenue in general operating.
Yep.
From water and revenue from wastewater.
Got it. Okay.
Because they're the water and wastewater funds, this general operating fund.
Okay, thank you.
And Renee could have answered that, but I hijacked it.
Yeah, I was ready. but That's okay. I knew the answer. That's all that matters.
I just get a little confused because the subcategories are different in the two
Mhm.
reports. And so I
One of the
try
sub-
to
one of
figure out
them's-
how to crosswalk them.
One of them's departments and
Yep.
then, well, the other one is also departments.
Yeah, it's the departments
Yeah.
within that fund.
Yeah.
So each fund has different departments.
So it appears that we needed to use other general fund revenue to balance the budget, or balance the expenditures with the.
Yeah,
income.
there's usually some revenues that just aren't directly water or wastewater. So
Right.
they just go to the general fund.
So you pull that and then
Yeah.
it balances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the budgeting process, you made some estimates on our various reserve funds.
Mhm.
And now that we are looking at the end of the year, I know there's still some tickling to be done on this. Have these come in pretty much exactly the way you anticipated?
These aren't ready to be updated. We have to do all our ending entries and then I usually present these to you guys in October.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Any questions from committee members about the financial report?
No.
Okay, hearing none, we will move to item 15. Suggested agenda items for the next meeting. What do we have, Tracy?
I don't know. Sure, there's be some variance reports that come in.
What about vacation?
I'm going on vacation next week. I just haven't asked Tom
I
yet.
I meant, I meant collective vacation.
That-
Is there a need to meet?
There may not be this, I know this was kind of a light agenda, but that wastewater loan was really important to get
Yes.
through.
Yes.
So I don't see anything right now.
I mean, I
That
don't.
might be a good,
I don't
month
see
to be
any
dark.
thing to-
It'll help us
August off
focus
is
on
not
year end.
unusual.
Right, right. Well, the Europeans do it all the time, so there's no reason why we shouldn't.
and it is a month when we're working really heavily on year end, so
Yeah, and on the audits, I mean, yeah, all
getting
that,
ready for
right?
the audit.
So, so we will conclude the meeting with a view that tentatively, there's a good chance that we may not meet in the month of August.
And a record time today.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so, I hope all of you will not grieve over that loss, but we'll try to get through it.
Tracy, how long are you gonna be on vacation? I'm just curious.
Just next week.
Just for a week.
We've been here a whopping 32 minutes. I think that is a record. And unless anybody has any objections, we will adjourn this thing and QED, quit and eat dinner.
All righty.
We're done.
Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye, Tom.
Hey,
Get well.
Tom,
Get well.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
do what I can.
Push fluids.
How in the world does anybody catch COVID?